starting to become hotter every time I come out. Getting into the hotter season, hotter and wetter. That's okay. I guess I can always splash some water in case I get too hot. No wind today, not much at least. Bye, hon. I've almost eaten all the scones that Anya made. It's hard not to eat them all because they're really good. Really, really good. Still haven't heard back from my buddy Rudy about the project. He's got to get clearance from the main monk up there, and it's tough to get in touch with those guys because they're, they have their routine that they do, and it doesn't involve a lot of communication with the outside world by phone or by internet. They may only check it like once a week. So we're waiting to see if that'll be okay to go up there. Hey, there's a big egret off the bow. Check it out. They like to surf along on those little rafts. Just gonna drift up to him there, see how close we can get. He's tall. There's another sandal in the water. Every time I go out I see a couple of sandals floating along because they're made out of that, those crocodile sandals. Check it out. If I started collecting these things on my paddle trips, I'd probably have 1,000 of them by now. That one looks like it would fit too. I don't know. I should probably just leave it for the next guy. Yeah, so we're not sure if our project is going to come together, at least on my side, because the monastery may prefer people to be vaxxed, and I'm not, and I ain't going to get one. So hopefully that's not an issue. I guess if it is, then we'll have to try next time. I think Rudy is. So I'm not going to go there. Personal choice. So, but hopefully that won't be a big deal. Looks like the truckers, the U.S. truckers, are making their way to the Capitol. What'd he cop? What'd he cop? So we'll see how that all pans out. Now we're starting to get a breeze. Maybe it was just because I was over back behind the seawall. Kind of going around the bend here, I'm starting to pick up a breeze, which is good because I was getting hot. Looks like our garden's starting to perk up. We planted a bunch of stuff this last week, 3 or 4 days ago I guess, and it's already starting to sprout up through the dirt. So that's cool. This will be our first real attempt at growing anything out there. The main problem we've had is that we just didn't have, here's another sandal. That's 2 for the day. The main problem we had is that the soil is so crappy. We live down here where it's really sandy, so it's just not good for growing much. So we ordered a whole bunch of potting soil and manure, and I mixed it together with the sandy soil, so that it'll be kind of a good general purpose soil, and we'll see how that goes. It'd be cool to grow some of our own vegetables and stuff. We already have fruit. We've got mangoes, we've got those Acreola cherries, we've got a kind of a plant called a nani berry, and the nani fruit, I guess is what it's called, it looks like a big pine cone, but it's green. It's kind of like a translucent green color. I haven't eaten any of it yet, but one of our bushes gets quite a few of them. We got that, and then we've got some limes, and we've got pomegranates, and we've got bananas. And then we've got a tamarind tree, which gives us all kinds of tamarind fruit. Tamarind fruits, it's kind of like what is it like? There's not a whole lot that it's like, I guess. It's just kind of it's like a bean-shaped thing, about like yay, kind of a curl. It's like the size of my finger, the fruit, and then inside there's a pod that has 3 or 4 peanut-sized fruit in it. Each fruit has a fairly big pit, and the skin or the flesh of the fruit is kind of a sticky, sweet, it's almost like a dried apricot around the pit, but not completely dry. Just kind of a thick. It's a really it's a good fruit to eat if you're thirsty, because it's very satisfying. A lot of flavor. They make the pad thai sauce out of it, so it's got a really good flavor. Kind of tart and sweet. So we've got a big tree of that. And then, what else do we have that we can eat? I guess that's it. We've got lots of herbs. We've got holy basil, and then regular basil, and the kind of Asian parsley. And we've got a couple of different kinds of eggplant, and a few tomatoes. The tomatoes haven't done real well here. The climate's just not quite right. It's so hot, and it never really cools down at night. But that should be fun for us to do. Grow some of that stuff. I would get chickens, but I know the neighbors have a bunch of chickens. A lot of people have chickens and roosters here. Excuse me. And I think most of the roosters are used for for fighting. They have rooster tournaments. I don't think they're technically allowed to do that, but I don't think there's a lot of enforcement. And the roosters that are the champions are celebrated and pampered, and the roosters that are not champions are celebrated at dinner. Kind of a natural selection of sorts. Kind of a bird over there. How many ships do we have today? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think we got 8 of them again. Wow. Yeah, I haven't ever seen more than 6 before. So in the last couple times, there have been a couple more ships out here on anchor. I don't know what the reason is, but maybe they know something we don't. And hardly any of that hyacinth, which is nice because that stuff slows me down. I got a big chunk of it wrapped around my rudder the other day. You could definitely feel it when you paddle. And as soon as they get to shore, they they offload it, and it goes either to the market or to a processing place. Anya's family they had 7 ships, and 7 of these big, standards ships had about 150 men working for them when Anya was little, and then eventually they got out of the business. But she says sometimes they'd go out for almost a month, and they would have other boats come and bring them supplies and whatever else they needed. It'd be a hard life being away from your family that much, and it's dangerous. There are pirates out there too. One of the ships in their fleet strayed into Cambodian waters because the fishing there was really good, and I don't know if they knew they were in Cambodian waters or not, but the Cambodian Navy came and they scuttled the boat, and they killed everybody on board died. They lost about 20 people, and I think the only one that made it out was the captain. But it was one of their 7 ships, and all those people that had kids and stuff. I remember Anya told me that her family felt terrible about it, and they did the best they could to try to help those families out after the fact. But what can you do? Nobody has insurance. I don't even know if I don't even know if insurance would cover an act of piracy. And I don't know if it would have been considered an act of piracy if the Cambodian Navy was the one that did it. It was a long time ago. A tragic situation. There they go. See them out here a lot. You'd think they'd go deaf with that unmuffled motor. It's really loud. I guess you get used to it after you've lost your hearing. Yeah, they go out into the Gulf sometimes. The Gulf is really shallow. I'm not sure that there are any places that are over 100 feet deep. I don't know. But overall, it's a very shallow body of water. And it's just more of a reflection of what's in that Bangkok, the Bangkok area and northward, actually all around Bangkok for about 100 miles to the north, and probably 50 or 60 miles to the east and west of Bangkok is just it's a flat bowl. I don't think there's any place there that's over about 20 feet of elevation. and the Gulf just fills in that same geographic type of topography from Bangkok to the south. It's just more of a continuation of that really, really low relief area. I know it would take us about an hour of driving just to get to the first hill that's over, 20 feet. Fortunately, on the Gulf side, we don't have a lot of geologic activity that results in tsunamis. That's all on the Andaman Sea side, which is it's on the western side of the peninsula that goes to the south. It's a deep body of water, so it has a really crystal clear water. What it go? It's really clear and good for scuba diving and snorkeling. We went up, or we went down to a place called Lipe Island, and it's in the Andaman, quite a ways south. It was a real rigmarole to get there at the time. This is back before the pandemic had destroyed the tourist industry, so even back then it was tough to get to when there was tourism. But you'd get there. I'm trying to remember how we got there. I guess we took a bus down south for about 8 hours or 9 hours, and then we caught a ferry boat, and it was a high-speed ferry. That thing moved right along. It got up on plane, so it must have been going 30 miles an hour or so. And it took another 3 hours on that thing. And when we got to Lipe is in an area it's an island marine reserve. So they're really strict about the commercial activities that can be done there. It's almost entirely tourism and snorkeling and scuba diving. I've never scuba dived, but we did do snorkeling, and the way it works is there are all these guys in the longtail boats, like the kind that just went by with the fishermen in it, and you'll hire a boat for an afternoon or for the day, and it'll be a local guy who knows the area, and they'll take you to 4 or 5 different tiny island areas and remote island coves where you can get out and swim and explore, and there's all kinds of different, the water there's just gin clear. You can see like 50 feet. There's all kinds of coral, and God, we saw octopuses and sea snakes and eels and all kinds of weird fish with beaks and saws on their noses, and you name it. And parrotfish and all kinds of anemones. It's like a floral garden but underwater. Everything is alive and everything is moving. It's really, really beautiful. And I think the whole, the guys there that are local, they'll work the whole day for you. And it was just me and Anya and Mr. Singh, and it was Mr. Singh's boat. And he would take us and kind of tell us where to go when we swam around and stuff, and he'd just leave us on our own and chill out, and he would go and explore around too, but it was mostly self-guided. And I think we paid him like $15 for the whole day. That was really fun. Back then there were a lot of tourists, but I don't imagine that would be the case anymore. There were a lot of Russian tourists then and a fair number of Chinese. And of course they're not coming here now. Haven't seen any Chinese people in over 2 years. Or any Russians. It's been a really long time. When we used to travel around, we would see, once in a while we'd see an American, but not many. It's a long haul from the US to get here. But we used to see a lot of Australians and some New Zealanders, and then Russians and Germans, Scandinavians. But I think since the pandemic and now the war on top of that, I don't think anybody's going to be coming here for a while. There are a lot of times when I'll go into town. I haven't seen another white person in town here for 6 months, and I'm in town 3 times a week. So I really stand out like a sore thumb. I could never rob a bank here. Lots of birds. That guy's cranking through here. Full steam ahead. Shit, you could almost water ski behind him. I bet you could. I think he's almost going fast enough. Wow, he's really moving. Get out of the way. Close to these guys. Say I took my bath today.